I've got 2 important meetings and I look like a pencil.
No! Don't blame me for your bad choices. Hair isn't everything.
Wow.
What?
Hair is everything. We wish it wasn't, so we can actually think about something else occasionally, but it is.
I know it's a bit late, but these are my 2026 hair ins and outs. Hi, I'm Seun. If you're new here, this is Seun Unfiltered, where I explore media, fashion, politics, and everything in between. I think a huge hair in this year is variations of micro braids. So any variation of micro braids, including tree braids, pick and drop braids, but variations of really tiny form of braids. And the hugest inspo I can think of right now is if you go back to the 90s and look at Brandy Norwood, particularly when she played the character of Marisha. I think Marisha had every variation of micro braids possible, and she had really tiny braid styles that just really were styled so chicly. So I think Brandy is a huge influence in this area when it comes to micro braids. But I also want to reference Y2K Nollywood baddies in terms of micro braids and million braids and just having tiny variation of braids. If we look at like Y2K Nollywood baddies, this is very on theme for them. Lots of styles of the 90s is now coming back again in 2026. And an underrated reference I want to say for micro braids is Beyonce. Beyonce really sported micro braids in blonde version in a way that looks like it was weave, but it wasn't weave, but it was just micro braids, but just really done well. So Beyonce, I definitely think, is also a huge influence in the micro braid scene and all the variation of blonde micro braids she had. I think in particular her case was really obvious in the sense that she used human hair, so the hair flowed really well. And I think just because last year we saw such a variation of different pick and drop braids in terms of like wavy and loose hair, so different variations in terms of goddess braids, water braids, mermaid braids, whatever you want to call it, where you had just hair with like loose curly hair attached to it. And I think because there was an oversaturation of that last year, I think we are moving slowly into micro braids this year, and that's coming back. But maybe just because I'm chronically on Nigerian hair talk and that I've been really fixated on tree braids, particularly in the way it's like it's sort of like weaving, but when it goes out, like each braid is left like coming down. I'll attach like a reference photo for this, but tree braids particularly have piqued my interest in this variation of micro braids, and it would be so nice to see that a lot more this year. So I definitely think it's a hair in for me. I also think black hair in general is coming back, and just because there's a huge push of being natural and essentials, like if we look at celebrity culture right now, there's a huge flex of because you haven't had any work on your face, there's a huge flex on being natural. And I think when we think of black hair, we associate that with just like natural looks. But I also think there's a huge push back into 90s minimalism. So when I think of 90s minimalism, the black person I can think of in the face of 90s minimalism is Naomi Campbell, and just how chic her dresses were and just how chic and laid she was, where less was more and simplistic really gave a lot more. But I think with the black hair and like minimalism, I don't want to associate that with like the clean girl look, and I don't think it has anything necessarily to do with the clean girl look. But I think I'm saying black hair just because you give less, like black hair is very like not too much, and I think it balances out well because we are seeing the trend of people reverting back to 2016 makeup, where we have this trend of 2026 being the new 2016. So I think the air that we're trying to move into is that if your hair is simpler, you can focus a lot on other features like your clothing or your makeup. And so you have really simplistic hair, but really bold makeup, and it balances out, I think. So less is more on the hair, but more focus everywhere else. And I think it really plays on the rule of two-thirds when it comes to dressing. So two-thirds really works well for the working woman in the sense that 2 out of 3 of the aspects of like what's going on your body is T. So, for instance, the 3 aspects being hair, makeup, and outfit. If my hair isn't as like really well done, then my makeup and my outfit makes up for it. Same way if my outfit isn't as T as I want it to be, or my outfit isn't given as much as I want it to, my hair and makeup make up for the lack of, I guess, outfit or like lack of really good fashion, if that makes sense. So I think this black hair really works for the working woman. It's just really simple to maintain. So not just having like a simple and chic look, but just also easy maintenance. And I think black hair really gives that vibe off. But in terms of black hair, when I think what works really well, I would say silk presses, that's just cute. Froze, including short froze, that's also really, really tea. I styled my hair in this really like nice medium length fro when I just cut my hair again in November. I'm very happy, so I love cutting my hair, and I got so many compliments when I had like my natural fro out. I think what's really chic into me right now is this January, yeah, I had like a really nice wash and go with like a fulani at the front. So wash and go is just really tea as well. Locks as well. So it's basically anything where your hair is just black. I definitely love like a bold black look. But I also think in minimalism, I think less is more with the hair right now, and that seems to be really, really in. When I think of something that's a lot with hair, the only reference I can think of coming right now is Queen Charlotte from Bridgerton, and her wigs and the hair is so tea, but that is a lot on the hair. So you're focusing a lot on her hair and not so much on her makeup or her outfit because the hair takes all the attention. Simplistic black hair requires takes away attention from necessarily from the hair but more your face and your outfit. But I also think black hair might be coming back in because we've seen such a trend of just not just soft makeup but bronzy makeup, and that bronzy soft makeup has leaned into bronzy hair as well, where you've had like rouge toned hair, browns and wine color, which I really love. But I think what black hair introduces is also contrast, like contrast between my face and my hair, and it's bold, so it really lets you focus on other things. And I think contrast has been something that we've been missing a lot of because we've been so scared to experiment with color again. But I think this huge trend of 2026 being in 2016 is allowing us to ex- move around with color and just do things that contrast against our now natural skin tone, for instance, and don't just like blend in too much. So I think this links into my next point of hair out. I think when I start seeing a lot of soft color hair leave, just because I think contrast is back in. So when I said black hair is back in, it's mostly because it also introduces contrast. When we look at bronzy, brownish color hair, warm color or warm toned hair, I definitely think is on its way out. So brown, like honey blondes, like basically just any warm color hair that basically just like low-key blends into your skin too much. And it doesn't really provide contrast to happen. It looks amazing, but it just means that it's too blended at times. And when you pair that with bronzy makeup, it kind of just feels like you're fading into the background also at times. I think it's great for an autumn look, but I just don't think it will be as in trend this year. So I definitely think a lot of warm color, warm tone honey blondes are leaving. So like definitely harsher colors when it comes to hair is now coming back in because people miss contrast, and I think a lot of people want to really introduce contrast back into their routine essentially. I think something that's staying in is a curly fulani. I just love the curly fulani hairstyle because it plays on the original fulani, where you have the fulani at the front, but not necessarily with the weaving or the braids at the back. So you can have a curly cut at the back, a half wig at the back, or sewn at the back. You really can just play around with a curly fulani. But also, I just think it's a really simple go-to hairstyle for when you're on a beach holiday, and it's just simple to maintain. So when I think of a lot of the girlies last year, including myself, when it came to summer, and you didn't really want to restrict yourself to wigs and you want to play around a lot more with like natural hairstyles and Fulani hairstyles, the curly Fulani was so tea. I had the curly Fulani when I went to a dual concert last August, and I got so many compliments during summer because of the curly Fulani. And also just because it's really simple to do. If you can corner or braid hair, it's quite simple to do yourself. So I just literally corner the front and just put a half wig at the back, and Bob's your flipping uncle. So that was a really simple hairstyle to do. I think the girlies want stuff that's easy to do and it's convenient to do. And I think the curly Fulani is going to stay in because not just of convenience, it looks nice and it's also easy to take down. Like everything about it is simple and it just really frames the face really well. And you've got like curly hair playing in the front. So I definitely think the curly Fulani is staying in. Something I think is coming back in is variations of Shuku, Patewo, Evelyn King. I started noticing this around the end of last year, but it's also in my lookbook for hairstyles this year. And it's such a chic hairstyle. I love it partially just because you really get a lot of freestyle in the front, and there's so much variation in the hairstyle that is a similar hairstyle when you see on different people, but it's not the exact same thing. And I think people want individuality, not uniformity this year. Like just really exploring individual styles. And with Fulani, Patewo, Evelyn King variations, so with Shukul, Patel, Evelyn King variations, you really just get to see the braider freestyle on hair and get to see the braider's personality as well as the person who's wearing the hair's personality as well. I think for a long time when we think of Shukul, we really associate it with childlike hair just because if I can find a reference for it, I had that hair like on my first day of school back in year 7. And for a long time, I did associate that with like childlike hair. So when I grew up or became an adult, I just didn't really explore that side of hairstyles anymore or those type of hairstyles. But I think 2024 summer, I really got to explore it with my natural hair. I got my mom to do the hairstyle for me. I had to do a bit of beggy, had to sit on the floor, and she basically just did the hairstyle for me, and I absolutely loved it. So I definitely think it'll be something that I'm re-exploring again this year. But I also just think it's so edgy, the variations I've been seeing this year as well. Like the one variation I really, really like, actually there's two. The if it's like a curly sort of fringe or like a curly cut at the front where it's like goes in circles and it just like lays really well. Or the spiky bonds at the back, which are also so cute and so tea, and that's just so edgy to me. And I just love styles that play around and give individuality again. Something I think is going to become more popular is braided bobs or dolly braids. So these have been around since like I want to say 2023, 2024. And I feel like they're such a niche in braided hairstyles that not too much attention is paid around it. Just because of the oversaturation in terms of goddess braids, mermaid braid, water braids, which I think are on their way out. I definitely think people pay more attention to it. But I also think just because of the logistics of the hairstyle, when you look at braided bobs or the dolly braids, they're quite short, and for lots of people who are growing their hair, and like including myself, who has like mid to longer hair now, you kind of want to know the logistics. Like, if I do this hairstyle, am I going to end up cutting my natural hair? And how is this going to work if I have longer hair than the hairstyle? So logistics on that side, but also take down, will I accidentally cut my hair when I'm taking out the hair? I think that's really held people back from exploring the hairstyle. I definitely think it's a length thing, but I think a lot of people are now more interested in it again, are now researching how logistically it's going to work with the hairstyle. I think that's what initially held a lot of people back. I know that's what held me back, but I definitely think it's going to be a hairstyle that's going to become more popular this year. This links into my main hair out, which I definitely think is length.
Get over my head! I do it my goddamn self! Fine, fine. You want me to cut it? I'll cut it. How short do you want it, huh? You want it shorter than mine or short as mine? You know, I can always use a razor, too.
I think for a long time, at least in the black hair community, hair length was associated in terms of femininity, or just like as a woman, if you have long hair, it's more feminine, it's a more feminine trait. I think what lots of us are learning that long hair equals femininity, but also just hair equals to healthy hair. I think there's definitely a lot more hair education happening. A lot of people are learning that hair length does not equate to hair health and vice versa. Whereas a lot of people don't want length, they want thickness. And before it was, oh, I just want length, I don't really care how like thick my hair is, I just want long hair. But I think a lot of people are now definitely taking in a lot more hair education, are a lot more interested in natural hair, and they want thicker hair that isn't prone to breakage, that when I have an afro is thick. And I want to really reference a hair influencer. I think I wrote her name down. It's called Deborah. Her name is Deborah Ranjala, and I follow her on TikTok. She's not just the hair influencer; she does makeup as well. But she has like a series where she talks about hair cocktails. These are like the hair products she's using in her hair to like make her hair thicker and rebuild her hair, and it's really really blown up. But I also there's a mutual of mine called Abiba called Abstract that's also on TikTok and Instagram. Really famous hair influencer. And she does like a lot of not just hair tutorials, but just taking care of your hair and reviews of hair products. And when she went to Nigeria for Dirty December, she managed to go to a natural hair salon. And I was so shocked that not just shocked that it was that this was a thing in Nigeria, just because I think the way we've discussed hair before, I don't know if there was necessarily a market, or maybe I didn't perceive there was a market for natural hair in Nigeria. But for the business is like alive and thriving, which means there's a lot more people interested in natural hair and taking care of hair thickness instead of hair length. So I definitely think length is out, thickness is in, and a lot of people are no longer scared of having short hair, but they want thick, healthy hair. I think a lot of people are more interested in just hair health now rather than length, but also just like what products they're using, and they're willing to be more patient, also just invest in their hair. And these businesses can only stay open because there's a market for it and because people are interested in hair care and hair products, and the market itself is thriving. So I don't really know how many billions they're making, but I know it's in the billions in terms of just hair care products and hair health products. But I think that is a huge in for this year. But essentially, those are my hair ins and outs for 2026. Please let me know anything you think I missed or anything you disagree with. I just want to say these are my takes and relevant to my own experience and what I've observed from like looking at people's hair and my fixation on hair at the moment. But I might do one in reference to makeup, let me know. But thank you for watching, and if you like videos like this, share, subscribe, and see you guys next week.